Welcome back to the Wealth Blueprint, Brick by Brick, featuring the Sapphire Group and your hosts, Jessica and Marissa. So, Marissa, what are we going to be talking about today?
So I feel like we're always talking about all the negative things that are in the news because there's just so much. Obviously, the economy's at a place where it's hard to even just to get by, right? A lot of people are paycheck to paycheck, but I feel like, and everyone's saying it's not a good time to buy, it's not a good time to sell, but in my opinion, I think every market has winners and losers. And obviously there's a lot of losers right now, but there's also a lot of winners. So I think we should go through kind of case by case, what are the winners and losers?
I think that's a great idea, and I think it'll let a lot of people understand where they stand in the market today and not to, expect so much or expect like the greatest deal of life. So do you want to get us started?
Yeah, do you want to start with the losers?
Let's start with the losers.
Okay. So I would say if anybody that's selling a property and not buying, so people like investors that are just selling off, now is not a good time to buy. Not a good time to sell because what are you going to do with that money, right? I guess unless you're putting it into some kind of vehicle, like let's say you're going to put it into your own business and you think that's going to provide you with better return, that's the only time I would say just selling a property, it would be a good time for you if you actually have a better plan for that money. But right now, like if you can even just wait 6 months to a year, you should probably get a better price.
I agree, unless you really have to, or you're, gonna go into like insolvency and you can't afford your mortgage.
Exactly.
But I will say, I would have a different opinion if it was before June 25th. So I was talking to an investor client where capital gains, the new tax came in for the 66% after June 25th. So 100%, I agree with you. But some people can't. I don't know if you have like you're investing in like a restaurant or something like that, of course, but the prices are just not the same right now.
Yeah. And then also like if you're older, you're retiring, maybe like there's a couple of people that I recently talked to, they want to sell their property, but they want to rent after because they're 80 years old and they just don't want to buy anything. Like if you could hold off, I would say, now is later is a better time.
And the reason we're saying that is because we want them to be able to make the most amount of money, right? Obviously, there's no magic ball to predict the market at any point. I mean, like something like COVID could happen tomorrow and prices could soar.
Yeah.
But if you can wait it out, you should.
Yeah, that's the key. Only if you can actually hang on.
But then if prices go up for homes and these older people are planning to like rent, then their rent's gonna go up. So like
yeah, but they're probably gonna be able to afford it more because if your house goes up by like 5% on like $1 million, it will more than make up for the increase in
100%,
rent, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And then another people that I would say to hold off are people that live in a condo that are looking to upsize to a freehold space, like an entry-level freehold townhouse or even like a small detached home. Because right now, the only properties that are selling are those entry-level freehold homes. And the properties that are really taking a tank are the condos. So that gap between those two property types have widened so much over the last compared to like 3 years ago. So making that jump is really difficult because it's going to be hard to sell and it's not going to be hard to buy, but there is a little bit of competition that it's hard to get deals on 100%. Those properties.
Townhouse, semi, those are my goal listings.
I know those are actually flying.
And you're getting like multiple offers if you price it right and if you know what you're doing. But so when you said condos, like we know condos are like tanking right now.
Yeah.
Like people that have them investments, they're spending way too much on them. They're like at a loss, and then builders aren't building them anymore because they can't.
Yeah, and then so much is coming on the market at the same time because they did the sales 5 years ago. So they're like flooding the market with all these pre-cons and people bought them at a time where they thought their interest rate was going to be maybe like 2-3%, and now it's like 5-6, and they can't afford it. So they're all coming on the market at the same time.
And then you're renting it, and you're renting it as a loss. Well, you're probably your own mortgage probably went up, and so you're all struggling. Another loser.
Exactly.
I'm in the same boat.
But one thing I want to say is that we had exact client that we did this with in February. So we had like very close friends of ours. They had a condo in Mimico, and we actually were able to sell their condo at such a high price, and then we got their purchase of a detached home for a decent price too. So, I mean, there is potential to, win in that scenario, but I would say the majority of time you're not coming out on the top.
So I'm just going to say I'm toxic, so I still have like a prospect search in that area.
Yeah.
So we sold a one bedroom, one den. So another one popped up like yesterday. I got it in my email. It was like $569, and I was like, ha ha ha, we got way more.
Yeah.
So I agree, but I think that time was very different than what condos are at this time.
Yes.
And it was like the strategy we put in, I would say.
For sure. Do you want to get into winners, or is there any losers that
I feel like in this economy, in this market, like we're all losers.
No, there's winners.
Okay,
Like I would say
Marissa.
the upsizers. So like we just said, people that are living in those entry level freehold homes, like small detached and townhouses. If your house is like 10 out of 10, it shows well, like no carpet, it's a little bit newer, there's a lot of demand for those houses. And then if you're upsizing to, a bigger detached home, there's not a lot of appetite for it. So you can actually, wait out and find a house and get a really good deal, and then have peace of mind that when you sell your townhouse or your small detached home, that it's gonna go pretty quickly.
100%. Like the detached homes, even in my area, have been around on the market for like 90 days, 120 days.
Yeah.
So yesterday, because this is what I like to do in my spare time, no, I was looking for a client. I was
Yeah.
looking at like massive properties on like acre land.
Yeah.
And they're like 2.3, 2.5. And I was like, oh, like this seems affordable. It's not to me, but
Yeah.
it seems affordable.
Compared
But
to like 2 years ago.
yeah, it would be like 5-6 million.
Yeah.
And so if you can buy now, you are a winner. And if you can buy something and you can say, you know what, I'm gonna like, really, count my pennies, or they don't exist anymore, nickels, dimes, and I'm gonna make sure I get this big property with this land right now, you're great. In 10 years, like that's worth way more money.
For sure. So I would say, yeah, those are the winners, but you have to make sure that you can afford the mortgage, because it's probably going to be a big mortgage to take on.
And I think that's the struggle, right? There's also foreclosure properties that I was looking at for these luxury homes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, wow, like, what happens to these houses? Because they're built like the greatest finishes and like the most amazing appliances and coffered ceilings and everything. They have
Yeah.
all of the jazz. But now you've built it up. You probably built up your dream home. You can't afford it. You've lost it to the bank. Now they're selling it. They're going to try to get market rate, but they're not going to
Yeah.
for everything you've put into it. So yeah, 100%. You could be a winner if you have the capital to invest in a large property right now.
And what about anybody in the neutral area?
So I would say one potential I see for winner that most people might not agree with me. Let's say you're like in a 1-bedroom condo and you're moving to like a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
I think that's a winner. Because maybe you're like not making the exact amount you thought you'd make on your condo, but if you put enough equity into it and you've built it up, you still have that chunk of money that you can put in, and then you're just really spending like 20-30K more to get that 2-bedroom and that
Yeah.
extra space. So let's say you're expanding your family, or because of work from home you need an extra space for den. I think that could be a clear winner, where when we're seeing the plummet in condo sales, this is the potential for you, where you may not have the equity to buy a detached home, you can at least move up. And then, of course, 2-bedroom condos will be more lucrative than 1-bedroom, because people can't afford, detached townhouses when they start going
Yeah.
up. So then at least you're pushing yourself up forward in that kind of game.
For sure. And I think it's also neighborhood specific, especially if you're going to the core of downtown. The 2 bedrooms there have really like come down a lot. So you can snag something up for, pretty cheap. And in like 3 to 5 years, you're going to be sitting on a lot of equity.
100%. Now, do you have any more winners?
No.
Okay, so what some people would consider a win is the interest rate cut that recently happened.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of feel blah about it, but I want to get your thoughts on it.
So I think it's great that like interest rates have gone down for sure, because it doesn't only affect the housing market. Also, anybody that has car payments, usually it's on the variable rate. So I feel like everybody's monthly bills are going to go slightly down, which is great. But in terms of how much it's going to really affect the market, I think it's going to take some time before it really starts to move the needle. There's just so much supply on the market, and there's lots of pent-up demand. There's a lot of people that want to buy, but there's also a lot of people that want to sell. And anybody that bought properties in 2021 and 2022 at the beginning of the market, they're coming up for renewals. And so I think there's going to be a flood of properties hitting the market this fall. And typically, like, the summer is like a low point in the market. Not a lot of people transact, they're on vacation or whatever the case may be. But the fall, there's usually a little bit of a pickup in terms of sales. And so I think there is going to be more sales happening in the fall, but I don't think it's really going to move the needle on prices too much.
Which, I kind of find ridiculous, because remember in February, you were in, we were in Whitby, Bowmanville, looking at prices, and Oshawa, Pickering, and there was like multiple offers, and interest rates hadn't even gone down. It was just interest rates are going to go down, and people are like, oh my gosh, we're going to buy. Now you're seeing it actually go down, and you're not doing nothing, right? I think this is the prime time where if houses are on sale, they're literally on sale right now. So if we're going to talk about winners, you're going to be a winner right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I think it's also like, if a lot of people read the news, and I think it just like pointing to their head that, like, a lot of people are telling me specifically that they were told that prices are going to go down further, so they're just waiting. People want to like take advantage of the lowest point in the market, and unfortunately you don't know you're at a low point in the market until you look back, right? And so I'm always telling people, you don't have to buy a property today or tomorrow, but let's actively look, because there's lots of deals on the market that if you can get a property that's worth $800K for $700K, like, why wouldn't you do that, right?
100%. Have you seen that meme where it's like, instead of being in my mom's womb, I should have been buying property? Like, realistically, the best time to buy is always like X amount of years ago, right?
For
like,
sure.
Should I have been spending all that money on Sephora versus like, saving money for a down payment?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
But that I didn't care about then.
I agree. Do you want to get into what's happening in the U.S. with their elections?
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sure everybody knows, actually, that Biden has finally stepped down. I think everybody knew that he wasn't fully there mentally. I think he's kind of, been at a downhill, and it was very apparent in the debate. And then so I guess the Democrats really realized that there's no way that they were going to win the election with Biden as a representative. So Kamala Harris is now going to be running. So what are your thoughts on it?
I have lots of thoughts, but first I need to say, did you see the video where Biden called President Zelensky Putin?
No.
And then he's like, Ukraine is amazing, this is a fearless leader, and he's like, now I welcome President Putin, and Zelensky went, and then he corrected himself, but it's so funny.
Goodness.
Everyone needs to watch that. So what are my thoughts? So Kamala is obviously South Indian, so she's Tamil, and she's half black, so for being a woman and a woman of color, you'd be like, I'm so amazed, I'm excited. But, I studied criminology, and she's put a lot of racialized people in prison.
Yes,
so
that's what I've been seeing, too. Because I
not
was
my
excited,
cup of
too,
tea.
to get, like, a woman of color, take the seat. But I think it was actually one of your friends that posted on Instagram that, like, under her power that she's incarcerated so many people because she's for basically, it's like the new age slavery, very cheap labor in prison. So she wants to, like, keep that, like,
because it makes money.
Yeah.
So I was looking to see, obviously she was on the vice president ticket, so many of her policies would align with what Biden's policies were, right? So Biden wanted more increasing regulations for corporations. He wanted to increase taxes. And then we have Trump on the other end where he's like, I don't want to increase taxes and I want to like decrease regulations. But he does want to increase tariffs. So when it comes to trades, being Canada, we might end up paying more for things, which is going to, ruin relationships. So Kamala hasn't necessarily announced anything in regards to her platform. She's just sticking to her basis points of like, this is what Democrats say to be elected, and that's it. And I mean, yeah, she just got the nomination. She just won. She's going to have to figure out what her platform is. But anything that affects the states affects us.
Yeah.
So markets, presidents, etc. There's one thing that I would never picture myself saying this. I agree with Trump on is he wants to stop funding Ukraine.
Yes, I agree. Even Canada should stop.
I don't understand why we pick this one country every year where we're like, let's throw all our money at you. Because if we have those billions to give to other people, I'm sorry, we can fund our own country.
Exactly.
There are people
Charity
struggling.
starts at home.
Yes, exactly. Like, our healthcare system's falling apart. Our schools are falling apart. So if you want to keep, like, I am all for, like, aid, right? I mean, some of the wars our own country causes or, let's happen. And then they're like, let's throw a Band-Aid solution of like, let's ship aid. Let's send you billions to make sure you're taken care of. But we're okay with you dying.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I don't know if she'll win.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough because we have some cousins in New York and we're talking to them about it before Kamala Harris got, she's going to be the representative. And they were saying, like, for sure, like, Trump is going to win. They were all for Trump. And I was like, really? But he's so racist. Like, to me, like, he's like a fool. But I know he's like a businessman and like
Yeah.
he actually runs the country like a business. So in that sense, he's good. I just feel like he's bad for society, like what he stands for, you know. And I think that could be very dangerous.
Bad policies create crime. Bad policies create deaths, right? And so we've seen that under Trump's leadership. But I think as we get older, you know, people say you become more conservative.
Yeah.
I still have my roots though. Like I still care about people, right? So like if you're going to say, you know, people shouldn't have access to healthcare, or if they shouldn't have access to food, or, you know, who cares about their housing, right? Like in Canada, in Ontario alone, to access a shelter now, there's wait lists
Yeah.
for months on time. And you and I know we've tried to get clients that make great money,
Yeah.
you know, rentals and leases, and for racist reasons, they don't even get them.
Yeah.
Or even, you know, people are just like, no, it's okay. Those are the landlords I hope, you know, suffer. But the reality is bad policies create harm for people in general. And then we pay for that for the next 10, 15 years as a society. And so, in my opinion, I think it will change our housing market. I think Trump might win, but Gen Z's really liking Kamala. And she's not, you know, another old white man.
Yeah.
So
But
she does
Gen
have the potential.
Z, do they vote? That's the thing. I feel like a
don't
lot of
know.
them don't go out and vote. So it'll be interesting to see how things progress because it's still pretty early in the campaign. She has some time to, you know, harness some power and get some votes. But it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
100%. We'll see.
But I like how you said as you get older, you become more conservative because I've always voted Liberal or NDP. But I find that Liberals have gone like, I don't know, is it left wing or right wing? But they've gone closer to the NDP kind of sides and values of things. And so like lately I've been more conservative and I never in my life would have thought that I would end up like here. But I think we just don't actually have a middle government anymore.
No, it's like the blue wave right now because everyone's struggling, right? So they want
Yeah.
change. And like, I don't know how Ford won again, and we'll talk about that with the LCBO.
Yeah.
But like, no matter who you ask, even the immigrant who like loves Justin Trudeau because his dad is the reason they believe they're here, they're done with him,
Yeah.
right? And nobody's looking for a replacement. There's no potential of like, here's change. Justin Trudeau did this wrong, but here's how I'm going to take the party on the right path.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same for the states. Like they just have two options, and I just
And
don't
they're
believe
not-
in electoral politics anymore.
Yeah. But I think even like, you know how Biden stepped down? I think Trudeau needs to step down because there's no way that Trudeau's going to win.
No.
Everybody hates him.
I know the guy just needs to go to another island and live there and just like for 10 years, you know, and then
Yeah.
come back and be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then people will forget.
Yeah. It's not all him. Obviously, there's like
Yeah.
different players, there's people that pull the strings, but like you're the face of it, dude. Like
Yeah.
let the party win.
Yeah.
You know, at some point you just got to be like, I'm not the right person. I'm going to step down.
Yeah.
And there's things that are like, you know, better than me. We don't
Yeah.
want Pierre Poilievre to win or whatever his name is. So let's step away and then put someone else. And it's not Christina Freeland.
Yeah. He just needs to take the L.
Speaking of else,
Yeah.
the LCBO.
Yay. They're back.
I was on vacation, so I didn't really feel the wrath of that.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts? Because you were here.
Yeah, actually, so I was just telling you earlier that we had a pool party scheduled for that Saturday, and luckily we decided to plan ahead, and we went to the LCBO like on the Tuesday or Wednesday, and like I think the next day they went on strike, and we're like, wow, we're so lucky that we did our shopping before, so we didn't really feel it, we were okay. But with like everything going on in the economy, like people just want to like, you know, drink their problems away, and they didn't have the opportunity to do that.
So I was like actually really invested in the LCBO strike, and not for alcohol reasons, but
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer of unions. I think they do good work. And some history on the LCBO. So in 1919, Ontario actually had a prohibition. And in 1924, they did a referendum. So they were like, would you be okay with selling alcohol, but it'd be under government control, or would you not be? And what do you think happened with that referendum?
Probably, well, we know that the LCBO came to life, so obviously they won and they got the government to do it. But
They didn't.
They didn't?
No,
there was
so
a lot
they
of push-
lost.
Okay.
So
how did that happen?
And
then?
51% actually voted no, and like 48% voted yes.
Oh.
Or I don't think I have my math right, but and basically there was this like conservative politician. I think his name is Ferguson, and he came into power, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm going to push forth a crown corporation by the government to run this, and then basically what will happen is if people like don't like it, because a lot of people, 51% voted against it,
Yeah.
at least it's maintained by the government and there's rules and regulations. It's not like free willy and everyone can buy alcohol at any time or whatever.
Okay.
And then for those that were for alcohol, they at least had a spot. So it went well. It was
just for Ontario or Canada-wide?
This is Ontario only.
Okay.
So basically, he pushed this forward. Now, with Ontario, we're one of the only provinces where we don't have, liquor sales and cornerstones and stuff like that. We do have them in grocery chains for, like, beers and, like, ciders and stuff like that. So the issue was they wanted to, like, sell, like, mixed drinks, like mojitos, margaritas, the, like, higher percentage,
like the
stuff
seltzers
that
and
I would
stuff
drink,
too.
like girls' night out or whatever,
Yeah.
sangrias. They want to start selling that in corner stores. And basically, the LCBO was like, no, like the strike wasn't about money.
I know.
It was about jobs.
Yeah.
And it was about job security. Think about when we used to work at Tim Hortons, right? And then McDonald's came up with coffee. How many of our days went shorter in terms of hours? Like you'd be like, all right, who wants to go home early? And none of us did because we're like, we need our $250 for the 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? So they're more afraid of the future. And that's why the strike occurred. But as you can remember, Doug Ford, what was his biggest platform when he came into?
Dollar beers.
Buck a beer, right?
Yeah.
This guy's obsessed with alcohol.
Yeah.
And so he was running this platform on convenience, right? But do you know how much the LCBO makes and where all that money goes to?
No, where does it go to?
Us. The school system,
Yeah, healthcare.
healthcare, like over billions of dollars. So why would a premier who's actually making money on this investment, and these people weren't even fighting about, I want to make like $50 an hour or something. Why would a premier want to take away the billions coming into his government that are helping fund our society? Where is that money going to come from if we lose it?
But wouldn't they still get the tax dollars from the grocery side? Like, how does it really change?
It's not going to be the same. So this is the best investment the government has, the most profitable. And so when we give it to corner stores, yes, there will still be a certain tax on it, but you're like, how are we going to ensure that like no one's buying alcohol at 7 a.m.? You think the mom and pop shop that has a convenience store is going to bolt it up?
But why can't they sell it at 7 a.m.? What's the problem with that?
We have rules. Alcohol.
I know, but that should be fine. It's like...
I mean, I see it as like scary.
It's not like you're drinking it there. You're just taking it when you're doing grocery shopping and you're taking it home.
So once I was... okay, don't ask why. I was at the LCBO at 10 a.m. for getting stuff.
There's lots of people that wait up.
Yeah, but they're addicts,
Yeah.
right? And so then you're also like safety and et cetera that you have to look at. I don't know. Personally, for me, I feel like certain things need to have rules and regulations. Like,
But people are going to drink whenever they want to drink. If they want to
That's
drink at
true.
7 a.m., they could buy at 9 p.m. the day before and drink at 7 a.m. I don't see how that makes a difference, to be honest.
for me, I just think like addicts and issues and like, I think like if someone's coming at 7 a.m., they've probably been binge drinking the whole night.
Yeah.
Or like 24-hour convenience stores, for example. So is alcohol allowed to be sold 24 hours now? But for me, more it's on the principle of if we're making this much money into our economy and you want to get rid of it or you want to distribute it, then where else? And sorry, one more point. You know why all of this happened? It's because he broke a deal with the beer store. So basically, he has to pay $250 million to the beer store, Ford, because he's going to start selling these in corner stores because like they have that monopoly on that. And so to make this work, he's like, okay, well, I'll also take liquor away from the LCBO and make it work.
I didn't realize you can go to like a convenience store and get alcohol. That was just like grocery stores. Is that a new thing?
No,
gonna
that's what
roll
they're
out?
trying to pitch, right? They
Oh.
want it in corner stores. That's the kind. He was pitching convenience, right? Which
Yeah.
like, if I didn't
In Quebec, it's
think-
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the SAQs, right?
Yeah.
SAQs or whatever.
Yeah.
We're probably one of the only provinces that are regulated like this. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like.
I think we need to
forceful
find better
change.
ways to budget our money because there's so many other provinces and countries that they don't have a monopoly on liquor. So, I mean, I'm not really for this whole thing, but I think we need to find better ways of managing our money. And also, aren't LCBO workers paid like a premium? Like they get paid way more than people at the grocery store.
So they're unionized, so they
Yeah.
do have a good pay. But like, okay, so this is also like fights that people have been having with me, and I'm like, so then just go apply at the LCBO.
Yeah.
Like, why are you mad? Someone else is making money.
Yeah.
If you want the job, go work there.
Yeah.
There is no issue. But I would say like some grocery stores are unionized as well. So like some metros are, and it depends on where you are. Like if you're gonna pay dues and a part of your paycheck for people to fight for you, of course you should be making whatever your union can fight for, right? But I just want to keep the money because look at the
'Cause we need
healthcare
it.
system.
Yeah.
And if we just keep privatizing things, like prime example, healthcare, dentists, whatever, right? How many times has your insurance said, oh yes, we'll cover everything 100%? No, they look for loopholes. They try to make you pay out of pocket for certain things. And if we keep privatizing things, not alcohol, not to make us pay for profits, what's going to happen? Where's the monopoly on it? And then what happens to the money we lose in our kind of economy?
Mm-hmm. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've been enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. That helps us build more content just like this. And if you would like a personalized touch and a consultation call with Jess and I, you can use the link in the description below, and we'll catch you on the next one.